Though most of my work is in political philosophy, I have an interest in moral philosophy too. I think of moral philosophy and political philosophy as different subjects. Questions about morality that interested me even before I came to philosophy are, I suppose, questions I was naturally interested in given my religious upbringing. What's the relationship of God to morality? This is a question that Plato wrestled with in the famous dialogue, the Euthyphro. Growing out of that great dialogue is a famous dilemma about the relationship of God to morality. And the dilemma is roughly this. If God is the source of morality, then it seems as if God could will to be moral whatever God wished. If God wished murder to be moral, God could decree it so, and so it would be. That's an unappealing conclusion. On the other hand, if God doesn't will, if God isn't the source of morality, then God seems somehow constrained by morality. God can't will whatever God would like. And that too, some have thought, is an unappealing conclusion. Catechism of the Catholic Church says roughly that God is the source of value and the source of the moral law, and yet is unclear about just what the source means, whether God promulgates it or whether God decrees it ad libitum. As I said, I think the question of what's God's relationship to morality is really interesting. It's gained new interest for me as I've studied contemporary moral philosophy. Contemporary moral philosophy indebted to the work of Immanuel Kant, which sees morality as founded in reason. The contemporary philosophers who pursue this line try to root morality in human reason, and the possibility that God might have something to do with morality is not a possibility to which they give much thought. But they offer very compelling arguments about the rootedness of morality in our reason. And if you find those arguments compelling, then the question of what God has to do with morality is I think, quite an important one to confront. I guess I'm inclined to think that God has reason as we do, and though the way in which God reasons is quite different from the way in which we reason. God doesn't reason discursively. I don't see why God would need to reason discursively. Still, if God has a power of reason, then the claim that morality is rooted in reason shouldn't be threatening to the idea that God is somehow implicated in the origin of morality or is its source. But how exactly to work that out is something I'm deeply puzzled about. We've talked about the importance and indeed the inevitability of bringing your identity and your experience to philosophy. But there are limits. And one virtue that I think students might benefit from, especially students beginning in the study of philosophy, is to know where those limits lie.